Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cop Talk. I'm Kevin Shorter, your host. I'm here with my co-host, the Captain.
Welcome, WABC listeners and YouTube viewers. Today's guest is a very good-looking lady. We haven't had too many ladies on the show. In fact, I don't even know if we had a lady before. Did we, Kev?
Not sure. We have to go back.
Okay, I like that.
I'm glad she's on YouTube.
Welcome. Our guest today is Ali Nigolian. Did I pronounce it right? Thank you. Ali is the Executive Director for the Nassau County Police Department Foundation, right? Okay,
Correct.
Police Foundation for Nassau County. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be the first woman. I'm usually the only woman in every room I'm in because I'm in, police world, and so it's not unnatural for me.
Well, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
So, Ali, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your background?
Great. So I have been the executive director of the Nassau Police Foundation since 2011. I got involved in police foundations kind of by happenstance. In 2008, I was working on the Rudy Giuliani presidential committee. It was a very short-lived campaign, if we can recall. And when it was over, through the campaign, I had met a gentleman, a good friend, Larry Levy, who at the time was on the board of, it was then called the National Law Enforcement and Firefighters Children's Foundation. Now it's exploded, and they changed the name to the First Responders Children's Foundation. So I'm sure many people are familiar with them. And they needed somebody to help run the day-to-day as a part-time job. And so I said, sure. So I kind of fell into this law enforcement philanthropy, and I loved it. At the time, we were supporting all of the 9/11 families, which back in 2008, 2009, it was still obviously very fresh. So I got to work with all these families. We hosted great events, including our big Thanksgiving Day Parade event, for them. And I really loved the organization, but needed to get a full-time role. So I was going to school and getting my master's degree from NYU in nonprofit management. And when I graduated in 2011, through some donors that were in Nassau County, they came to me and said, listen, we're trying to start a police foundation. Would you be willing to come and help us? So I kind of naturally transitioned to Nassau County, helping them to kind of get their foundation started. And I've been there ever since. So it's been quite a long time now that I've been doing this.
Wow. So basically that's how you got involved with the foundation as well as the Nassau County Police Department.
Yes.
Because New York City has one as well, correct?
Yes.
Two separate ones?
Yeah, New York City has a foundation. I actually sit on the board of the National Police Foundations network. And so we meet annually to talk to all the other foundations about what's going on and trends in nonprofit police foundations. And what we've seen is everybody needs a foundation these days. Money for equipment is kind of going away because obviously, budgets and salaries are kind of taking away from what municipalities can do for departments. So we're seeing this burgeoning industry of needing foundations to help pay for things that departments need. So we've noticed almost everybody is trying to start a foundation if they don't already have one. And New York City was really the first in the 70s to create it, and everybody's kind of taking that model and worked with it ever since. Actually, my neighbor to the East Suffolk County just recently started a foundation, and I kind of helped them get that going because they too need money to help do things and build things that just the municipal government can't afford.
Now, Ali, most of your donations come from, I guess, corporations or billionaires, millionaires?
Yeah, well, most of our donations are from individual donors, some corporations in Nassau County. But luckily, Nassau County is a very philanthropic community and obviously very wealthy. So that's been, the driving force of why we've been successful is having, people in the community who love the police. They love their security. They know that their home values and their quality of life is based on, policing and safety. So they're willing to help, support us so that we can ensure that the department has all the equipment, technology that they need to keep Nassau County. We're the safest large county in America, I think 5 years in a row. And not only do we buy equipment, but we also do a lot of community programs that bring the police and, at-risk youth or people in need together. So not only are they supporting the police, but they're also supporting their community and those in need. So we do a lot of those events that we raise money for.
Great stuff. Cap?
I recall when the Police Foundation first started in New York, it was because the police department could not accept direct contributions from private people because it would be a violation of the law. So the police foundation became an intermediary where the money was given to them, and they bought the equipment or whatever it had to do with the police department. Does your operation work the same way?
Correct. So now people can give money to the foundation, and then we go and buy the goods that they need or the equipment that they need, or we do some refurbishing of departmental buildings and things like that. And then people get a tax deduction from it as well. So we're a separate 501c3 entity, separate from the police department, separate from the county. And people can make contributions, like I said, and then we buy the goods, and then we present the goods to the county legislature for acceptance.
So if you know, how many police foundations are there in the nation?
We actually are, it's funny, my group is we're trying to cultivate that list, because we know the last time I think we had the list, there was over 400, and that was done like 5 years ago. So now I think we're probably upwards of way over 500. Whether they're large municipalities, departments such as, San Diego, New York City, but there's also very small ones. I helped Oklahoma City start a foundation a few years ago. Even small entities are starting foundations around the country just because they do need to see if they can get support from the community to help them get the equipment and things that they need to continue to do their jobs.
So you mentioned before a national group. Is that what you're trying to do, create a national?
We have a national group of police foundations that we meet, like I said, annually. We used to do it through the IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and now we kind of created our own group to do it on our own. Because, again, we find it beneficial to get together, talk about trends, talk about best practices, events, fundraising, things that we're seeing, nationally. A big issue now, I know, for a lot of my fellow foundations is helping departments to recruit and retention. We don't have that issue in Nassau, luckily, but around the country, the trending of getting people to become officers, being able to afford homes in the communities they live. So a lot of foundations are being started just to help departments, get people on the job.
Do you get involved with any political issues or campaigns, anything like that?
The foundation cannot. As a 501c3, we can't electioneer, we can't get involved politically. We just support the police department and, whoever is leading the county and helping them to ensure that the county is safe.
Yeah. And did you have an association with the Nassau County Police before this?
No.
So you went right into the...
just the National Law Enforcement Foundation. I don't even have any family members who are officers.
Oh, wow.
So really coming into this world, it was very eye-opening for me. And, unlike most people who kind of have that, trend or because of family history in law enforcement, I don't. But I found a passion for supporting our law enforcement and first responder families. And I really love what I do. So
you interact with other, law enforcement foundations. Mm-hmm. Did you ever interact with the NYPD with Arms Wide Open? I've never dealt with them, just the NYPD Foundation. Yeah, that's run by Merritt Riley and Danny Sprague. It's a foundation run by two New York City cops who they raise money for law enforcement personnel who have children with special needs. Oh, wonderful. And they've been doing a great job, Also, another foundation that I'm involved in with Stevie Van Zandt, it's called Little Stevens Policeman's Ball. And what we do is we raise money each year. In December, we have a big event at the Mandarin Hotel here in New York. And we raise money for the widows and children of the NYPD, which is basically the Detective Endowment Association, Widows and Children, and also Arms Wide Open. We give them half and half. And that's great. Over probably 9 years, we've raised over $2 million for them. That's wonderful. So it's a nice private event, invite only, but we've had some great support. And every year, if anyone's listening, we're always looking for a good honoree that could donate. Every foundation needs a good honoree who can donate. Exactly. Believe me. So can you get a picture with Stevie Van Zandt?
Jeannie Kelly. You didn't mention her.
Oh, Jeannie Kelly. Well, she's with the 9/11 Foundation. Yes, I know Jeannie. You know Jeannie Kelly? Yep. Yeah, Jeannie's a good friend. We were cops together back in the day in Midtown North Precinct. I actually just was texting with Jeannie on the way here. But she does great work. She does great work and really great work. We've had her on a couple of times, and I'm hoping to have her back real soon as well. With everything going on now with the funds for the... And not only that, mental health. I know I've talked to her a lot about officers' mental health issues, and that's another thing the foundation is committed to supporting. Mm-hmm. We just opened a wellness office in Nassau County, and the foundation helps to support, what
some of the things that they need, whether it's get speakers in or doing events, because, there are we've had, unfortunately, a few officer suicides in just this year alone. And so that's obviously a trend that foundations across the country and ours are helping, departments to kind of combat that.
Yeah, that's a tough
plague.
one. That's a tough one. I mean, I'm glad nowadays we're speaking about it. 10, 15 years ago, we weren't speaking about it. But now I'm glad, there's an outlet. Cap?
Before you got involved with this foundation, like when you left high school and went into college, what did you want to be, or what were you doing?
I went to college at Manhattan College for communications and government. So I always knew I wanted to be, I wanted to be involved in government. And I thought I would run for office and kind of be in politics. And again, then I got a job doing corporate public relations right out of college. And that led me to the Giuliani campaign, which again was where I thought I would be doing, working, political campaigns, things like that. So that's where like I said, I met my friend Larry Levy, and he brought me into this foundation, law enforcement, philanthropy world, which kind of changed everything that I thought I was going to do, but I love it. And I'm glad I'm not really an elected official that I thought I would be after all this time.
Well, you have the Jaspers colors on.
Yes, I do. I do.
Yep.
I was looking at your website. You have a huge board of directors.
Huge, yes.
Do they all attend meetings?
We have our board of directors that's really the operating governing board, and then we have a large advisory board, and that's about 60 individuals. And that's really more for people who don't have the time to be on the operating board but still want to be involved. So a lot of business and community leaders in Nassau County, some even from the city in Suffolk, people who just care about law enforcement and care about supporting the police. Our foundation was really created unusually because we, at the time, needed a police academy. Nassau County being, at the time, the 13th largest department in the country. I think now we're 12, maybe even 11. Never had its own police academy. We were kind of shuttled around from schools to trailers at a jail that were condemned for prisoner use, but we were able to train there. And up until 2021, when we opened our new building, we were in an elementary school in Massapequa. So they had little urinals, little water fountains, and you were training officers, to be training men and women to be police officers in the school. So at the time, Commissioner Larry Mulvey said to a couple of philanthropic guys in Nassau, I really want to start a foundation to help build this police academy because I know there won't be enough government money to do it. So that was really why our foundation was created. And it took us just about over 10 years to get enough funding to do the preliminary work to get the building ready for groundbreaking. And in 2019, the county was able to put some capital money in to do the construction of the building, and the foundation paid for all the architectural services, all the environmental services, and all the things that needed to be done so that we started construction on the facility, and we opened it in 2021. And it's one of the most, I think, incredible training facilities in the country. And just in a few weeks, we're going to be having the grand opening of our phase 2, which is the training village. So we built behind our academy a police training village like no other in the country, where officers can really train in not only policing, but in community issues as well. So we can bring our community in as well as our officers to train in all things related to, the different demographics and people in Nassau County. So we're going to be opening that in a couple weeks. Which also culminates with our 100th anniversary of the police department. So we're having a big gala on April 22nd to celebrate the 100 years of the Nassau County Police, celebrating the grand opening of this training village. And we also have a parade on April 27th in Wantagh. Anybody who wants to come from the community, we're going to be parading down Wantagh Avenue starting at 2 o'clock, celebrating the history of the police department with all of our antique cars that the foundation has been helping to restore and all the history of the department. And it's going to be a great celebration of 100 years.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe we'll have to.
You mentioned something, the training village. We had, maybe about a year ago or less, we had someone from Georgia we were interviewing, and they were going to open a training village outside Atlanta.
Yes.
And they ran into major problems from the community.
Yes.
Where there were demonstrations, there were arrests made. And in fact, I'm trying to remember, I think one of the cops was severely injured. Right? Are you familiar with that?
Very, because my colleague from the Atlanta Police Foundation, they're very involved in that project. And I've spoken to Dave quite a bit about, the issues that they're having with what they're calling, I think, Cop Village, or that's what they were calling it down there. Luckily, we haven't had those issues here, but I think, certainly people in this community up here have a different appreciation for law enforcement, and we have a good relationship with our community here. So luckily, we haven't run into problems like that. But again, this isn't a tactical training facility. This is a training facility where we're going to bring in members of our community to train with our officers on all things law enforcement. So it's not just for police, but it's really about community training and, understanding the environment, understanding the people who live in the community so that the cops can understand them better. That kind of training.
Right.
Yeah, I'm remembering now. We interviewed the lawyer who represents the cop that was severely injured as a result of the demonstrations. I think one of the demonstrators threw something over the police line, and it just struck him in his head, and he got severely injured. But also, I think just recently I saw in the news that New York City is considering something like this, enlarging the academy to take in other agencies, train like a one-stop shop for everybody involved in law enforcement. Are you familiar with that? I
have not heard that, but I have visited the NYPD Academy, and we did actually several times when we were doing the design for our building to see what they had done and get some ideas. And I know they do have some interior training village-like scenarios within the building. Yeah, ours is completely outdoors.
They have a subway station.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
You don't need that.
No. We have a train station, though. We do have a Long Island Railroad car and a platform. So thanks to our partnership with the MTA, we did get a car over to the site. So.
Yeah, you're overground.
Yeah.
They're underground.
Yes.
So how's your relationship with the Nassau County Police Commissioner, the brass, as well as the politicians in Nassau County?
We have a great relationship with our police commissioner. Obviously, we're there to support him and everything that he needs. And obviously he's there to support, the county and whatever they need. So we all work together. Our board of directors works really closely with all the electeds to make sure that, when there's something they need that they can't get through normal budgetary means, that we're there to support them and get them those items. And again, we do a lot with the community too. So it helps not only the police officers, but it helps the community when we're giving away toys around the holidays, giving backpacks to children around, September. With the opening of the village, I'm sure there'll be a lot of opportunities for us to do more with the community, teaching children, proper ways to cross sidewalks and safe biking and things like that, where it's just we'll bring police and the youth and the community together for a positive.
So the foundation's for all of Nassau County. It's not like just for Nassau County Police. In other words, Garden City, Long Beach Police Department.
We are the Nassau County Police Department Foundation, but the training facility trains all of the village officers as well. So they also benefit from it. And we do a lot to support, the villages as well.
Great. Yep.
How many members do you contribute?
We have thousands of donors, and we've raised over $15 million since inception. So we've done a lot in the past 10, 12 years.
That's great.
More than that now, almost 15 years. I forget it's been that long.
It's a good number.
Yeah.
No matter how many years.
So for those listeners and viewers from your county, how do they get in touch with you or to contribute?
Go to our website, www.ncpdfoundation.org. You can contribute through the website. Again, like I said, we have this big gala coming up on April 22nd. And we have the parade. So hopefully it's a free event. If you can bring your families, your kids to Wantagh at 2 o'clock on April 27th and participate in the parade, you're going to see all of our police assets. You're going to see our horses, our canine, like I said, all of our old cars. We have pipe bands coming from all around the area. It's going to be a really nice event supporting, everything that Nassau County Police has done in the last 100 years.
I think half the Nassau County Police Department is formerly NYPD, including the commissioner, correct? Pat Ryder? We have a great synergy with, like I said, the NYPD. I've worked closely with the NYPD Foundation for various projects and things that maybe we can partner on, or certainly getting their advice and support on different technologies that they've done and use to help the NYPD. So, and even Suffolk, everybody works really well together. Obviously, the only way to keep
the region safe is to have good communication and certainly good relationships. There are members of the NYPD in our academy and intel center, so the sharing of resources and things like that is very important, as everybody knows after 9/11.
Of course. So Suffolk County, they have their own Suffolk County Police Foundation?
They just started one recently, yes, that I helped them create, yes.
Oh, wow.
For the same reason we started ours. They saw a need that they needed funding to help do things that the municipal government couldn't fund, and so they needed to start one, and they did get one off the ground.
Oh, interesting.
Well, a major contribution that, as I recall, when I was in the police department, which was a long time ago, that the New York City Police Foundation got involved with was the protective vests.
Yes.
That was a big, big thing because the police officers didn't have them. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the first things they did.
It was, absolutely. That's what they were started for, really, to buy bulletproof vests for officers.
So do you have in mind something dramatic that you did for the Nassau County Police Department?
Well, certainly the building, getting the academy built, even though it wasn't 100% funded by the foundation, it was created as a public-private partnership. So some government funding, some private philanthropy. That was really the culmination of why we were created. And that, like I said, we're going to be opening that this year. We've purchased canines, we've purchased horses. I think we're one of the only departments, few and left in the country, that has, a mounted unit. So the foundation purchases these animals for the department.
I'm sorry, Allie. You purchased the horses.
Yep.
They're not donated.
They're not donated.
Okay.
We purchase them, and the donor who buys them can name them. So that's kind of a fun thing. And then we make trading cards for them that they give to kids, and so it's a great thing. Our canine and mounted units are wonderful, not only for the officers and the department, but also for our community engagement.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to think of all the other amazing things we've done over the years. We've helped refurbish some of the police booths that you see around the county. I don't think many other municipalities have those. Building some and taking down the ones and refurbing the ones that need refurbishing. And again, any technologies that the department can't purchase through normal budgetary means, we'll do. But most of besides the academy project and canine and mounted, a lot of our funding goes towards community events that we do with the police in the community. So these big toy parades, the different family day that we have coming up for our police families, the foundation really supports all of those.
You mentioned mounted. That is a big thing that Curtis Sleewa talks about, because New York City, according to Curtis, has 80 steeds. Mm. And, they haven't been used in the last few years under the mayors we had. They were like just standbys, even during the major demonstrations. Because I can recall in my time in the department, they were a big factor in controlling crowds and demonstrators. And Curtis has been very vocal about this, that if he becomes mayor, he's going to make sure that the horses are used the way they should be used, not just to have children petting them and so on.
We've spoken about that many times on this show. Yeah. We'd always talk about how the mounted unit, doing the Black Lives Matter movement and all the riots going on, and just the city unrest a few years back around COVID. Mm-hmm. The mounted unit, they're there to disperse the crowd, mm-hmm. and the powers to be refused to utilize them because they felt too intimidating to the crowd. Well, guess what? They're breaking the law. We got to do what we have to do. That's why we have the horses. So that's what the captain's talking about. So now Curtis as well, speaks about it, which is good. If he was to become mayor, he would make sure we utilize the mounted unit as they should be used. So not just to go around Midtown and take photos and which is great too. Yeah. Have the tourists pet them, take pictures. It's great. I think the mounted units in thousands of pictures throughout the world, but we also need them to disperse crowds when it's unrest. So
yeah, I mean certainly I think during all the protests we saw in 2020. In 21, they were really utilized in the county, and again, they use them around malls, around the holidays. It gives our officers a better vantage point when they're patrolling. We have big malls in Nassau County, right. So we use them for that, and then obviously we have a lot of parkland in Nassau County too. So the horses can go to the different parks and patrol. It is an important part of the police department, and we're proud to continue to purchase the horses and take care of them so that the department has those assets.
How many horses do they have?
I believe right now we have 10. I could be wrong. We're actually in the process of purchasing, I think, 1 or 2 more right now. Some have had to retire, but we are actually looking for a couple other horses right now.
Do you have a retirement farm like New York has?
Sometimes, yes, they do find farms either out east or I think upstate will take the retired horses.
Yeah, New York has a place upstate that they retire the horses to. They supposedly live very good lives.
Yes, they're very well taken care of, I'll tell you that.
The Nassau County Police Department mounted unit, where do they train their horses? Or I should say their horses as well as the manpower.
In Eisenhower Park, we have a stable
Nice.
where they live, which is right in the park, which is
very nice
great,
park,
and very convenient.
Oh wow, that's good stuff. Cap?
I think we have covered just about everything that we can. We don't want to wear our guest out, but it was a very good presentation.
Thank you guys for having me.
And I hope that many Nassau County people are listening to this show and will view you on YouTube.
Yes, thank you guys for having me, and hope everybody can come to the parade and support our police, and especially in the 100th anniversary.
The date on the parade is the 27th of April?
April 27th, Wantagh, 2 o'clock, in front of Railroad Avenue where Mulcahy's and some of those bars are. They're going to have a big street fair afterwards.
Good spot.
So we'll have live bands. We'll have different, the Wantagh Chambers putting together a nice event and for families. So come down and enjoy the street fair after the parade. But we hope we see everybody there to celebrate 100 years of the Nassau Police Department.
And then April 22nd is another event?
April 22nd is our Centennial Gala. People can find information on our website, www.ncpdfoundation.org, if they'd like to purchase a ticket and attend.
And where is that going to?
It's going to be held at our police academy.
Oh.
So
nice.
the cocktail hour will be in the training village, and then the gala will be in the academy itself. So
Cool.
it's going to be a very, very cool night.
Captain's going to get his suit out and
Hopefully Kevin will attend. He lives in Nassau County. I live in Manhattan.
Okay. Thanks for telling everybody where I live. That's great.
Well, I didn't tell him exactly where he lived. It's a big county.
Nassau, right, but the Bahamas. Alexandra Nigolian, okay? We know you as Allie.
Yes.
So we'll call you Allie. I want to thank you for being here today. Really appreciate it. We hope we can have you on again.
Absolutely.
Actually, maybe with Jeannie Kelly.
Absolutely.
And maybe also with the police commissioner, Patrick Ryder. That would be fantastic.
Would love to.
So we look forward to having you again, and we appreciate you coming in all the way from Long Island, because I know traffic could be rough. I hope you took the railroad.
Took the train to Grand Central.
That's the way to go. So on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I'd like to thank our guest, Allie Nigolian, for being here today as well. And if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to Cop Talk. You can subscribe to Cop Talk at WABC. That's Cop Talk at WABC. You could also listen to us on X at Cop Talk WABC. And Captain?
And you can also view our lovely guest on YouTube.
So until next time, God bless you, God bless America, God bless law enforcement throughout the world, and God bless our U.S. military. Thank you.
Thank you.